The new generation of the Kia Sportage, that is today in Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas. We're going to take a detailed look on the exterior, the interior and of course of the driving, and we'll also draw comparison to the competitors and also the sister models on the same platform than the new Hyundai Tucson. And for example also maybe let's think about Nissan Qashqai, Seat Ateca. We will tell you everything about that. Now in Autogefühl in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! The previous generation that was running from 2010 till 2015 is not a long time for a generation change, but Kia sets the pace for smaller or shorter life cycles. Now the all-new generation, same system model with the Hyundai Tucson. The big new part as a design is this new tiger nose, they call it, the new front grille. And it also has this, special structure here also in this GT top trim level. Then I've turned on all the lights, and also at the lower part, the fog lights. So the lower ones here are the fog lights. They have this ice cube design, a very distinctive one for sure. What do you think about this front? Tell me your opinion in the comments. The GT line also features 19-inch alloys, really huge, and they also look good in this two-color scheme. However, you will also be fine in lower trim levels. The new generation 4.48 meters in length, that is 4 centimeters plus, so a little bit longer than the previous generation. But from the inside, there has been much more changes, I can already promise you right now. We'll soon come to the interior. You already see from the outside, this car has really grown up. It's looking stronger, really more SUV style. And you see also from this rather square outer shape of the car, that will also leave some space on the inside then. And I think it's good for the SUV because we've seen also SUVs have a really falling roof line and they don't leave you so much space here. So they have created a dynamic contemporary design, but still it offers you a lot of space on the inside. We'll soon also discover that. Also there is a broader rear now. I think it's really more beautiful than the previous one. The taillights are beginning at the side of the car, are very widely drawn, and then this connecting light in the middle part. What other manufacturer is doing that? Porsche. So you might see some resemblance there. And although we have the diesel engine inside, we have those huge exhaust pipes, but this is just the inside is real, the outer part is fake again, that you have a stronger lineup. And the GT line badge here as well, with this contrasting, silver style to have a diffuser kind of style already here in the rear now. This is the car key, standard Kia key. You can open and close it. Also use the keyless entry and see you have to press this button. Solid. Also the door closing sound. I like that. Let's open it. The all-new generation. Take a first look at the interior. This one is the GT line, and this one then comes with animal skin on the inside and fake animal skin on the outside. It's a pity if you want to avoid it, just go for the lower trim levels. Then we got cloth seats, so in all of the lower trim level variants. This one also, GT line, is a little bit expensive. But what I like is the flattened end steering wheel you get here. And it's very small, by the way. It makes a sporty steering wheel, definitely. Inside of the doors, this glossy black elements, I don't fancy those ones because see they collect fingerprints and also scratches quite easily. Other than that, this one here is also softened up. As a rule, the manufacturers usually use fake leather for this one as well, and that's perfectly fine as well. Contrast stitches. And what else noticeable? Good build quality also with the door handles with real metal around it. And the storage space here, you can fit a bigger bottle in here that will work. Let's get inside, and I can tell you this is really the main difference to the previous generation of the Kia Sportage. Before it didn't feel like a real SUV. Now it has grown up, you have a higher seating position, you really feel like in a command SUV drive. The previous generation really was more like feeling a normal passenger compact car. This one here, grown up SUV now, and even a little bit more than the Hyundai Tucson. So I think the Sportage more feels really like an SUV than the sister model, the Tucson. Really interesting. Electric seats here with the adjustment, higher, lower back, and also electric lumbar support in this higher build we have here. Head space, lot. So got a lot of space. I'm 1.86 m for our non-subscribers, or 6'1", and that fits perfectly in even taller people. No problem here. Really a spacious feeling in the interior. Cockpit overview, it looks more modern and cleaner than the previous generation, that's no doubt. But in general, you see the basic setup is that we still get a lot of keys and buttons, turning knobs and stuff. But I think, well, that's not necessarily good or bad, it's the matter of preference again, because, you know, especially when driving, we'll talk about that later on when I drive, it's easier just to hit separate knobs and not do everything with the infotainment screen. So it doesn't look that good for the interior design, but it's maybe a more practical solution. So I'm actually fine with that. And you see they have changed the layout that more looks a little bit like, you know, a cockpit atmosphere from airplane like. Also when you access, for example, the heated or cooled seats, or also the heated steering wheel optional available for this car. So you can see it when it's turned on. We can also take a look at that in detail very soon on the instruments, infotainment screen, and also the climate unit and so on. And what is else? A little bit inspired by the Kia Sorento, the bigger brother. This dashboard that is, you know, has rather an angular shape and then has some, you know, small forms in it. It looks a little bit like leather, but it's not. It's just softened up plastic. A good solution to make it worthy. And, you know, this stitches, you know, stitches imitating real stitches on the plastic. I mean, why not? So overall, they've created a solid cockpit. It's not the design highlight, but it's more like, you know, they thought about, okay, what is the easiest to control for the customer? And also with the storage space here in the front, there's reasonable space. You can also remove that plastic to clean it. USB port is in the front and 12-volt power supply, 2 beverages holders here, and then a lot of space also underneath a small armrest. And what is always a good quality test is when we try to shake the middle console, and as you see, you can move it a little bit, but I would say also here it's still, you know, we've seen it more fixed in some cars, but also way loose. I think it's, you know, in a standard area from this build quality. But overall, I think very solidly built. And we also got the glove box sliding down very smoothly. I like that, with reasonable space inside, but no cooling function. Again, the steering wheel, very compact size. I can always tell you so far, it's not the sportiest car, but the steering wheel makes it sporty with a nice GT line logo. And what I find also quite handy is that I can directly take the phone calls when the mobile phone is connected via Bluetooth, or just decline them here. It's also an easy solution they found for that one. Instruments, they are very classic. Speed on the right, RPM on the left, and in the middle part, you know, the info screen, digital speedometer, or also here 7 liters for this diesel is the average consumption we have scored. And they can also get some other information there, compass, also assistance systems, and so on. But the main is really for the driving data. Let's take a look at the different buttons. Park distance control, you can activate or deactivate it. Even a hill descent control is available for, you know, off-road driving. And you can also lock the middle differential, so for the all-wheel drive. So really some good all-wheel drive features. Then, for example, vented seats, you need them, as on genuine leather seats, you sweat a lot. Seat heating, and my favorite feature is heated steering wheel, and all with separate buttons. I think, well, it maybe doesn't look too good, but I think they've created nice unit here, and especially for those elements, I think it's very nice. You can still control them separately. Then, in this cockpit style, as I've told you, you can also very easily access all of the function you want to have. AC is all self-explanatory, and also to control the temperature. So this is all set really on an easy control. However, no, that doesn't work. But here on this climate button, then you can also have a bigger display on the screen above. I can soon show you that one as well. And some hotkeys for radio, media, or also reaching the GPS. You can also control the GPS screen by here and also by touch. I will also soon show you that. And for the sound, there's a knob there. And the screen, you see here the map. It's not the most modern visualization, but it does the job because it has a good overview. And well, scrolling inside here, as with that's not really working, and I'm not sure why they haven't still done that. Also, what I'm missing is a button maybe where I can always go back. For example, I can use the button at the middle console to zoom in and out. But then, for example, also here, what do I do now to remove the screen? I have to press map again. And so zooming in and out doesn't really work like that. I'm not sure why they haven't integrated this smartphone-like function in this new infotainment screen. And then I can also show you some else of the menu. For example, you got some app view or options. Always is a good sign how fast you can change language, for example. And that one works very fast. Wow, have you seen it? It already changed. And so what they have worked on is that the reaction times inside also menu, you see everything pops out very fast. And you can, of course, also connect the phone then via Bluetooth. That works quite well. And what we can test as well is the function there. For example, you can enter the passkey then. I hope you don't get any interferences now as for the sound, but I can also connect my phone. I have to go back from the flight mode and see what's happening. So you see charging iPod, it says this is now realized as kind of like an iPod, and then it should also directly play my music. There it is. JBL sound system. Why not? It's a good sound. Nice. But disadvantage is you cannot use it with Apple CarPlay or stuff. You see there's the Bluetooth connection for your phone and playing music either via Bluetooth or directly with the cable using as an iPod, but no real smartphone mirroring available. Here, by the way, when you get to the rear part, I have the ignition turned on still, and then you get a warning that the ignition is turned on. I'm not sure if it's really handy for you. I find it a little bit annoying. So maybe just like have to deactivate the. By the way, did you hear the deactivation sound? This like blah, blah, blah. It's always like a symphony. And here again, beeping sound that the door is open. I don't like these beeping sounds. For example, BMW has this, in the most, driver-orientated way. You could even the music is still left on, and then you just leave the car, and when you just close the car, everything gets deactivated. It's the most handy solution, I think. But now to our rear seats. Wow, it's a really huge door here in the rear. Look at that, wow. I mean, the car has gained in length, I've told you. And that also creates more space in the rear. First of all, nice setup from design as well in the rear, even though I'm not okay with the surface. But you can also go for the lower trim levels, as I said. Then I'll take a seating test, as I would be driving here. And you see, really good. As for the knee space, there's still enough space left. That's a big step forward because the previous generation did not have so much space. So that's a big leap forward and comparable to that one of the Hyundai Tucson as well. Headspace, wow. We have no panoramic roof built in here now, but still a lot of space here above my head. Overall, a comfortable position. What I would also be interested in You can flip the seats here. Can you also adjust just the back part, or is it just a flipping function? That would be interesting. Yeah, it is possible. That's good. See, I can put the back part a little bit steeper, so maybe I would drive like this, more upright. If I want to sleep, then I could put it rather back. That's a funny thing. And then, of course, if you want to flip it completely, you have to do it from here. And, that's, of course, not that good. It's a 2/3, 1/3 split. Funny, by the way, in a lot of cars we see the 2/3 split is here, like 2/3 here, and then there's 1/3 here, but here it's the other way around. Then you can always see here a flat loading surface all the way to the trunk. Other than this, we have got 2 beverage holders in here, no separate ski hatch. And what else do we have here? No, I cannot flip it up without... Where's the lever? Help me. There it is. And then you can see, and then you have to... that's a little bit unpractical solution. Thank you, cameraman. Great. And USB port in the rear. That's a good thing for charging your stuff without having the 12-volt power supply. I really like that you have a separate USB slot for charging smartphones for the rear passengers. And it's a very last detail, if you look above, here at the inside of the door handles, you also have a hanger for your jacket. You can just flip down. It's also a nice detail. And dampered handles here also in the rear. See, they don't flap down or up. They're also, smoothly operated. Optionally, you can also get seat heating for the rear. The lights don't flash here right now as the ignition is turned off, so I want to spare you from the beeping sounds. But here the seated, heated seats in the rear, and also automatic control for the windows. You can hold the key, for example, or also press the button here below. Then the hatch is opening. Takes some time, but might also be good for safety reasons. Very well usable. You see here good dimensions. Here there are no rails left and right, so this cover here, that is really cheap. I'm not satisfied with that one. I'm not sure. Just look at Skoda, where they have these great rails at the side, and that's easy to control them. So of course you can also just always take it out. That's an easy solution as well. Then some space, for example, if you pick the optional replacement tire that is available here as a tire mobility kit. And what I'm clearly missing is, well, not those fixations for tension belts, for example here or also behind there are some fixations, but what I'm missing is that I can flip the seats from here. I'm not sure why they didn't do that. So I have to go around and then use the lever again at the side of the seats. Not a very handy solution. This, and then I also have to see that the front seat is in a position that it's foldable. So like this. And then you can see, well, you can very well use this trunk. It's not that high overall, but I think a very versatile car still. I mean, you have to go around then to flip the seats. That's the bad side. Let's look beneath the hood, and yeah, I have to fix it manually here. No hydraulic dampers. There's still, wow, a lot of space inside. This one here is the diesel engine, 2-liter displacement with either 140 or 185 horsepower. Here also equipped then automatically with the all-wheel drive. You can get this one with manual. We're driving that now. And also automatic converter gearbox is optionally available. And then there is a 1.6-liter petrol engine available, either naturally aspirated or with a turbo. The naturally one has 130 horsepower and the turbo petrol engine has 180 horsepower. Then again also combined with all-wheel drive. And if you pick the automatic suspension for that one, now I can talk again, not the automatic suspension, the automatic gearbox of course. Automatic gearbox for the turbo petrol engine is dual clutch. Here the auto gearbox for diesel is converter. Welcome to the driving part. Let's start. This 2-liter diesel, 185 horsepower, all-wheel drive with the manual gearbox, 6-speed manual. And start here in the reverse gear. There we can also see the rear view camera. It's quite huge actually. So I have good visibility, and this is also I want to start with that because it's a tricky situation. I have hardly any space left here. I think I also have to. This is really the question to which side I'm escaping, because there's really so little space, and you know it's not the smallest car, definitely not. And here I can really see I'm going very close to those cars behind me, and they are parking there illegally, so I can't do anything about it. And to the front, I hear it. There he is. So I have to, and there's also a sensor in the front there where I can see something at least. So I can see in the front here with the sensors and with the rear view camera. See, this is a lot of work, but, and that proves my point. See, that should work then. Sensor in the middle and yeah, and that's it. And my point is, you see, it was relatively easy to ease around this steering wheel. It's, you know, it doesn't require much work to control it, and that's really practical, handy solution for your everyday driving life. Also the shifting is really smooth, and that conveys a good quality feeling. From the driving position itself, I think it feels a little bit higher SUV stylish than the one we have experienced in the sister model, the Hyundai Tucson. That is also an interesting key finding. I've talked about it also in the interior. So let's see what about the turning circle when we ease around the car here. It's also always very interesting. Oh, that's a good result, no problem as well. So this one is also the top diesel variant. You can also get it with the automatic gearbox. That would be a converter gearbox then. With the petrol engine, you can also get the automatic gearbox for the strongest petrol engine, and that would be a dual clutch transmission. And so this is the basic difference. We'll start here with the city riding in our review in the driving part, then we'll also have some autobahn and a little bit of countryside driving, that we have all of the different elements here for this very car. By the way, with the electric seats, I think a good advantage is that you can also, you know, adjust them while driving. Whereas, for example, when the steering wheel is manually controlled, you rather adjust it, you know, when standing still. And also when the seat is in manual configuration, you rather do it when standing still and not while driving. Here it's no problem to do the electric seat adjustment while driving them. This diesel I already feel right now has a lot of power. Will also get along with a diesel with a little bit less power. Okay. So when a car is very, very slowly driving in Germany, there's one saying, one thing you say, das ist kein Parkplatz, means that that's not a parking lot. And the other saying is, macht Stehversuche, and that means like he's trying to, you know, he's doing still standing tests. So our German viewers will probably understand that better, but definitely funny German sayings. So now we have free cityway driving, and always important in the city is the visibility. And you see maybe I've adjusted the rear view mirror a little bit, a couple of times. There's not too much view to the rear part through this mirror, because the rear window is, for design reasons, a little bit slim, so you don't have the best visibility to the rear indeed. However, side and rear windows, they are relatively steep, so you have a good visibility right there. Although they are again quite slim, because again, due to the exterior design. And that's always the question, yeah, is it really necessary? Well, but if it's just about what's best on the inside, then of course maybe sometimes the car would look very ugly. So it's always, sometimes it's a compromise, sometimes they decide the design is more important, sometimes they decide the interior visibility is more important. That always depends on. The steering wheel, I said it's really soft. You could also argue on the bad side that it feels a little bit unnatural. So if you're a sporty racing driver and more like the better feature from the steering wheel, you won't find it here. It's more for easy driving. Overall, the first driving impression is really good. It's a comfortable ride. It is in a way similar to the one of the Hyundai Tucson, but again, the first thing you feel is the Hyundai Tucson more feels normal passenger alike. This one here definitely now feels more passenger car. The Tucson more passenger car like. This one here more SUV car style alike. And it was a little bit different before because the previous generation of the Kia Sportage, and this is the major difference now. We've told you in the exterior it has grown up, in the interior it has grown up, and also in the driving experience, this car has really grown up. I did not like the previous generation of the Kia Sportage driving-wise, to be honest, because I said, okay, then I can also just drive a normal compact-sized car. This one here has really become also driving-wise an SUV now, and if I buy an SUV, I also want this SUV driving feeling, and they have achieved it by this car here definitely right now. So that's, to me, the major difference from previous generation to this all-new generation of the Kia Sportage. Again, positive that it's really easy to put in the gears, and that's also a sign of quality. So again, I think in many ways they have created a very, very solid product here. Der macht Stehversuche. So yeah, I think the traffic is not that bad today anymore, this evening, so it's getting better and better. Always, of course, good for you. You see, I also got the digital speedometer in the middle part of the instruments here. Other than that, classic instruments. So you can also follow my speed and say, hey Thomas, you're driving too fast there, or maybe you're driving too slow there. Du machst Stehversuche. Then we'll also soon go to our faster driving part, of course. And what I really like is this flattened end steering wheel. It's really good for also, for my legs while driving. The steering wheel also has a compact size. I really like it. Looking at the GPS screen, it's also well positioned. And, we've talked about in the interior part as well. We still have a lot of buttons here. And from an interior design aspect, that's maybe not that good, but from a driver's perspective, I find it quite good that, especially when I don't want to learn more about the car first, I immediately know what's happening. So you just have to, less or more winds, less or more temperature with those knobs, or AC on and off. That's totally easy and you can very well access it. So yeah, maybe not a bad choice if you really think about what's the necessity of the driver. What is he or she really needing? This diesel again is very silent, also very well insulated. So but now third gear, almost 2000 RPM. You hardly feel or hear anything. It's not like this so-called diesel nailing or diesel nageln in German. At the moment, 50 kilometers an hour. dB meter says, wow, 66, 67 dB. That's fairly a good result. And that could also be, it's always a little bit hard to do this representative test with those dB meters. It always depends on the very road we're driving and the weather and so on. But from this short test, that would even be a little bit more silent than other SUVs we've tested. So I think maybe when we can check it out again. See, I go to 50 kilometers an hour, and later on we'll test it again with 100 kilometers an hour. Yeah, 65 it should be. Yeah, and then we'll test it later again at the motorway with 100 kilometers an hour. So I think overall you see I don't have to raise my voice that much, and you also feel that the diesel, I mean, third gear even, let's go second gear. But even then, even if there's more RPM, you don't ever feel, oh, that's a noisy diesel. So I'm really pleased by this refined diesel sound, and there's also not that much of a turbo lag, because this turbo diesel, they tend to have, first you have to wait a lot, and then the turbo sets in. It's really a rather smooth transition also in the acceleration. In both the strongest petrol and the strongest diesel engine have accelerations from 0 to 100 kilometers or 0 to 60, 61, 62 miles an hour, which is below 10 seconds. So that's for the strongest engine, and you can, imagine that they also do quite well on the Autobahn. But we'll soon also get to our Autobahn part, where we can show you a little bit more of the acceleration. Then you can also watch in the middle screen how the speed is really evolving. So far I'm really satisfied with driving it, and price-wise they are also quite good, especially for private customers. Other competitors, which would be, for example, the Volkswagen Tiguan, but it's a little bit more expensive, at least from the list price. The Seat Ateca is relatively identical, at least in Germany, as for list price. I told you this one here, 20 to 40,000 euros in Germany, same for the Seat Ateca. So you can very well compare that one. Seat Ateca, the main difference while driving is due to the interior cockpit styling. The Seat Ateca feels a little bit, cleaner, more elegant, and the Sportage feels like a bigger SUV. Well, it is also a little bit longer, but overall, from the driving feeling it conveys, you think you are in a bigger car, and the Seat Ateca more conveys it to maybe in a smaller, more flexible, more versatile car. So, I mean, that's nothing like you say just that's good or that's bad. It's really what you prefer. I mean, do you more prefer that you feel the car is bigger or is smaller? That's, I think, just a matter of preference. There's also Nissan Qashqai, and I can tell you right now that this one does feel better in driving as the Nissan Qashqai a little bit. The Qashqai is also, a good price-performance deal, surely, but this one here feels a little bit more refined. That's, just my subjective feeling, because I've driven every car in this segment, and some even a couple of times. And if you take the Hyundai Tucson, they both come really close, as they are also sister models. But there again, as I said earlier, main difference, Tucson feels more passenger car-like. This one here feels more SUV style-like. Same, by the way, with the Qashqai. This one also more goes in the passenger car feeling direction. What I mean with normal passenger car is like a normal compact size car, for example. An SUV feeling is more, you sit higher, it feels a little bit bulkier, but more comfortable for a long-term ride, and that's where this one here resides. And also, for example, the Volkswagen Tiguan. In the Seat Ateca you also sit higher, so it also feels like an SUV, but you feel that it's more versatile. This one here, you don't feel like you would like to move it in a sporty way. It's more like the relaxed, calm feeling. So you have to be aware of what is your main choice. And we've seen it a lot of times that all the manufacturers that are, German owned or preliminarily German, more set a sportier tone, also in the SUVs, and the SUVs from Japan or Korea usually more set on also American customers, which a lot more prefer rather comfortable suspension, also for long term, just like straight motorway rides and so on. And that's again just what you prefer. So approaching the motorway ride, then we can soon test again the dB meter and also give you some of the acceleration, that you get a feeling for that. And I'm really surprised by how they achieved that the diesel is really that silent. So they've done a very good job there. I'm really, really keen on that. You can even go to 6th gear, then the RPMs go really low, but here We also have a gear indicator saying, okay, then you should go to this or this gear. Then the cruise control, this is a normal cruise control here. I can just set it at the steering wheel and then it keeps the speed. And now, so it goes third gear, 70 to 100. Let's go now. That was 70 to 100. Not an explosive sports car, but still reasonable acceleration. Now I go to about 100, set the cruise control, and we have 100 kilometers an hour at below 2000 RPM for this engine. And the dB meter says 73 dB. That's a very good result. Very good result. So, you know, for example, with the Mercedes E-Class, that was like top in our segment yet. We were, of course, below that and also at the speed of 100. And, well, what was interesting here that we didn't score a very low value at driving 50 kilometers an hour, but you failed, it was silent, but then here at the higher speed didn't go up in the value that much. So interesting how they kept that one. So, but the overall subjective feeling is really good as for the installation as well. So cruise control set, also at higher speeds here now. The steering wheel, yeah, you see the small angle part feels a little bit loose. That, you know, could be maybe a little bit stiffened up then. And also when we're driving fast here now, see the car is also tilting a little bit. So you're feeling it's not that high speed Autobahn car, it's not. There are, you know, other SUVs which are more focusing on the sporty layout are better. Also when going off the Autobahn here, the car feels a little bit, yeah, like the car is trying, you know. And so it doesn't feel that easy and sporty to handle. You really think, okay, let's go a little bit slower now and ride comfortable again. And I think that's perfectly fine. An SUV doesn't have to be a sports master, like for example here, BMW, it should be an X3, X5. It's always hard to see if it's, especially with the BMW, which model it really is. Because in Germany also people tend to, you know, clear the model and sign name at the rear part. You can just do that, you know, without paying any extra price. So I think we've given you a lot of insight of this car here while driving. If you have any more questions, put it just in the comments. And I think we'll go further, at least away from this car. And let's see what else we can say to the final words on the Kia Sportage. Conclusion now for this car. Well, at the moment you have a good choice now in the compact SUV segment, also for reasonable prices, and a lot, for example, taking German prices as reference, move between 20 to 40,000 euros. Also this one, biggest competitor probably also internally, the Hyundai Tucson, which is also a good car, and the new Seat Ateca, also cheap and a good car. It's really a hard choice. The Hyundai and the Volkswagen Tiguan is also a very good car. It always depends, of course, which very precise offer you get at your dealer. So then also maybe list price doesn't play such a role when maybe the leasing rate is somehow different. So you have to really get maybe some different dealers, you know, from each brand there. Here, I mean, everything we've seen was really satisfying. It's a very good car, a good choice here in the compact SUV segment. If you rate it against others, there were some things that are not that practical as in the Hyundai Tucson, for example. The interior philosophy is a little bit different here. If you more want a conservative style with still many buttons, Hyundai Tucson as well. The other competitors in this segment more move towards, you know, more functions via the infotainment screen, for example. There's a reasonable space inside everywhere. We see in front, rear, also in the rear. The exterior is really a distinctive one with those, aggressive tiger nose. So if you want this very contemporary design, you will be really fine by that. Comparing to the Hyundai Tucson, also more SUV style seating position, I like that as well. It feels like a bigger car, and also the Seat Ateca is not only a little bit smaller, it also feels way smaller. So it's a really tough question if you ask me, which one would you really go for? The best is to check all of the Autogefühl reviews, Seat Ateca, Volkswagen Tiguan, Hyundai Tucson and so on. We'll also link that one in the video description, and if we at some time forget that, please just say, hey, you forgot the links. Then we definitely do that, because sometimes we forget it. Yeah, I'm so very sorry, but usually we do it. And then maybe you can find out more about your personal preference, which car is the best for you in the compact segment. I want to hear your comments on the exterior, interior and the driving experience of the Kia Sportage. This one here, a really comfortable SUV, not a sporty one, but that's of course your personal preference. And see you next time at Autogefühl, at one of our next episodes. Really glad that you tuned in today for this variant here of the Kia Sportage.